Hi, and welcome into the ASUG News studio. My name is Tom Whalegum from ASUG News, and I'm joined here by Courtney Bjorlin of ASUG News as well.
Hi, Tom.
We are back here on day 2, and we are just so excited to have Don Whittington here in the studio. Don is the Vice President and CIO of Florida Crystals. He is also an ASUG board member and does so much for the ASUG community. Also worked with Sujin. I mean, he's into the SAP ecosystem so well. Don, thank you very much for coming in.
No, I'm really glad to be here. It's exciting to be with ASUG, and we get so much out of it. We try to give a little something back, all the time. But what an annual conference so far. I'm glad to be part of it.
Absolutely. So, Don, you were making some headlines last week when SAP came out and announced the HANA Enterprise Cloud. And can you just talk a little bit about, the news, and then we'll dive into the topic a little bit and how you guys have, reacted to all the attention you've gotten from this?
Well, certainly, it's been an attention getter, and we were part of the announcement on Tuesday, and we're excited to be the actually first SAP customer and an ASUG member to be live with ECC on HANA in the cloud, in the HANA Enterprise Cloud, and it's been an exciting journey. The story behind some of that, I mean, there's always a story to the story, and but I can remember we actually made the decision to go live in the cloud in mid-February, and when I said to my staff, look, we want to go live, and because we'd been in part of the Petabyte project, the original project, and it went so well, they said, well, do you think we could be live by Sapphire and annual conference? And when I said it to my staff, they said, it's impossible, can't happen. And so we worked, with my staff, with the team, whatever, put it together, and we went live a little over a week ago, and it's really been incredible. It was business as usual on day one. So that includes an enhancement pack to upgrade to enhancement pack 6 on HANA database, in memory. It's just incredible.
Now, it's worth pointing out as well, too, that Florida Crystals hosts all of its applications in the VirtuStream cloud.
That's right. We actually have not had a data center for 3 years. So we made a little history, I guess, to go through it. Back in 1995, before I joined Florida Crystals, I joined in 2001, but way back in 1995, Florida Crystals opened a distribution center, a small business. And at that time, they went with R3. 1995 with R3 was brand new. And it really had to ask the question, why are you implementing something like R3 for such a small part of the business? So now you go forward a few years since 1995, and we're actually running a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise on that same SAP software, that was 1995. We made that similar bet then in 2010. We went to the cloud with the VirtuStream cloud, and back when everyone else was talking about it, we were actually doing it. We received tremendous benefit. You get the automatic TCO, lower TCO, but the agility that it's been able to provide, and as you see now, all the talk of the cloud, luckily there's a little bit of luck. There's always a little luck in there, but we were right. We were right in 1995. We were right in 2010, and I believe we're making that similar kind of a bet on HANA. I think it's a game changer, and so we're making that same bet. And so far, the results have really been fantastic. So we're about that. I wouldn't call us bleeding edge quite yet, but we're a leading edge.
You're out there.
So
you might need some Band-Aids. You're actually bleeding a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there. And that makes me think, you must be a popular guy at this event, because people want to know, hey, how did you do it? I mean, do you get your colleagues, your peers coming up, we're thinking about it? What do you tell them when they ask you that?
Well, we have gotten quite a bit of attention, and so people will always, the first thing they ask is it real? What are you really running?
Right.
And we're running a full ECC stack. It's not, we have 2 ECC instances, and we're only running one, but we're going to do one at a time as we do it. We're already working on the next one. We're going to do CRM. We got GRC in the plans. All that's already laid out. Right. And but it's for real. It's a 3-tier landscape. It's from sales and distribution, to FICO, to running the business. We run our business on that stack. It's all the integrations are there, so it integrates to the other ECC system, to CRM, to XI, to PI. All the acronyms are all involved in that. So it's certainly real. And then the next one was how did it go? And we were, again, just remarkably surprised at how quickly that it integrated. We actually had the technical migration from our existing SQL database to HANA was literally done in less than 180 hours. I mean, think about that. I mean,
Yeah,
these not days and months or whatever. So when we saw that, we made that migration, and in the petabyte project, it just worked. I mean, which frankly was a little surprising. I thought there'd be more to it than that, and that's what spurred us to say, wow, that being the case, how can we apply our rigorous regression testing so we make sure it works and get that, and get that done by Sapphire. I have to say, even, I didn't show that to my staff, but there was that uncertainty, boy, that timeline was somewhat critical because we had to cover high availability, backups, disaster recovery, and that's all there. It's all there. It's all there tested, and so I would say this was when we went live. So it starts on Friday. You got a certain process you get done, including our testing, and we were back up on Sunday afternoon. And Monday was literally business as usual, and that included an enhancement pack upgrade. I mean, it really was incredible.
Right.
I don't think I've spoken to one customer on the show floor this week who isn't at least thinking about how HANA can be applied into their SAP landscape. Where we're talking about the HANA Enterprise Cloud, do you think that customers need to make a jump to the cloud first and then the HANA Enterprise Cloud, or they can make a jump directly from on-premise to HANA Enterprise?
Well, actually, that's a great question, and my answer would be, I think the cloud provides a lower TCO and it provides agility. And then HANA is going to apply the speed. They're going to be able to do things you haven't thought of that you're able to do. So my advice would be is you need to get to the cloud to get the agility. Your first move to the cloud could indeed be a HANA move. That would be my not having thought about it too much, but that's what I would say. The cloud lets you do everything incrementally, right? So that's what I've been talking to a lot of folks on, about the cloud as I wander around the conference. And I said the beauty of it is you can do something very small and you can do something on a larger scale. And so you can, any risk tolerance that you have, I think you can do with the cloud. With HANA, you can still do it incrementally. That's kind of an all-in whatever you do, but you can take a small slice. I think that's what SAP is offering, and we get a little bit over-marketed on this on HANA, that on HANA, that on HANA. So, but once you go ECC on HANA, you're more or less all in, but you can take a sliver of HANA, and then if you do that sliver on HANA and you do it in the cloud, the HANA Enterprise Cloud is not just technology, so that's the service, it's a managed service. So you don't have to be a HANA expert, you don't have to be a hardware expert, you can actually do that. So I think it could actually be that incremental move to make that happen. I mean, I tell people, they said, well, what hardware is it running on it? I said, I don't know, it's in the cloud. I don't know, don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great. We talked a little bit about the technical benefits and how you've done that. Some of the business benefits that you wanted to, make sure you got the business side buy-in and that they're going to have their systems available. How did you manage those conversations?
When we did the cloud in 2010, there was a easy TCO, right? You get the virtualization piece of that, and if we had more time, I'd go into some of the other benefits that we've achieved, the agility that we've achieved with the cloud. But let's focus on HANA. I think it was a little bit harder to put, I'd say, firm, ROI, financial ROI to do that. But I used our experience back to 1995 and to 2010 to say this would be a game-changing technology for us. So I actually talked with our senior executive team, the executive committee, and sold them on HANA. And when I sold them on the cloud, I didn't sell them on the technology. And the same thing with HANA. And but we actually had, surprisingly to me, they understood this in memory. And I used an analogy. I said, think about what we really want to do is to take SAP, if you think about Excel, most of them know how to use Excel. And they said, when you go and you first launch Excel, you see the little light blinks while it's reading the disk, and then it comes, and then it's really fast. If you have a large spreadsheet, you can wait for a while for it to load. But once it's there, you can get anywhere in that spreadsheet very quickly. And I said, it's the same thing with HANA then. And if we did that with HANA, I said, imagine our business, right? Now this is a future base. This isn't on the Monday after go live. Right. But the future base was, imagine SAP solutions running as fast as Excel and as being as easy to use. That's the vision. That's where we want to see this go. Now, we all know SAP's user experience could use some bolstering. Jim Schnabel said today, I mean, that focus on user experience has got to make every SAP customer, every ASUG member, really happy to see that that's going to be a focus. So when that vision's realized, that quantum leap comes out there, and then we're already on HANA. So imagine it as fast as Excel and as easy to use. It's a game changer. I really do think. As I wrote a short blog on that for ASUG News, and in there I said, we look forward to working with SAP and with VirtuStream to really forge the future. That's the buy-in that I had at the business level. So I have that luxury of having a business team supports seeing technology as an enabler, as something that we can use to get a competitive advantage.
That's great. And I definitely recommend reading that blog on asugnews.com if you haven't gotten to it yet. Don, to kind of close us out here, leave us with your single biggest piece of advice for convincing the business that this is a good move.
Well, actually, I think the biggest piece of advice is, and since we're on day 2 of the conference, there's another day left, just look around. If you see me walking, I'll talk to you about it. We'll do what we've done in some of the things over there, because every business, with HANA, with the cloud, again, I think it's pretty easy. You got to get past the security. There's some risks that you got to, I think, get straight in your mind. And once you're past that, the economics are there. With HANA, might be a little bit different, so you got to find your case, right? So you got to get past that same paradigm shift to think that whether you can do it, and et cetera. I said to one user that was a little more negative on where the whole thing was going, and I said, well, I think it was Henry Ford that said, think you can or think you can't. Either way, you're right. So you've got to get that frame that you want to do this, and then just look at the members here, look at the conference, and find those that are doing it. Everyone's talking about it, so talk to those people. Take some that are doing it, and then figure out how it's going to work for you. And if I can help them do that, I'll be happy to try to make that happen. I have a staff that can help them talk about the experience. That's what he says. I want to talk to the folks. They're around. I can put you in touch with the guys that had to do the work. So I often say that, in my job, I get to talk about it. They actually have to do it, right? And they're incredible. I mean, I'm blessed with the staff that's absolutely fantastic. And the work that we're doing with ASUG and the work that we're doing with Sujin, all those things come together. I think that's that, with the tagline, it's that real experience. It'll make a real difference. I think that how, and then you can do it incrementally. You don't have to bet the business. You don't have to spend a ton of money. That HANA Enterprise Cloud lets you don't need the expertise. So I think the package is there. You just got to tailor it to the specific needs. That'd be my recommendation.
That's great, Don.
Great. Well, thank you, Don, very much for coming in. It was great to talk with you.
Great to talk with you. Thanks for all you do for ASUG.
Oh, you're very welcome. Glad to do it. Glad to give a little something back. Thanks.
Stay tuned on asugnews.com for more interviews with great members like Don, as well as SAP newsmakers throughout the next 2 days. And thank you for watching.